With just a few days left to make their case to the relatively small number of voters in a handful of swing states that will decide the outcome of this election, the two candidates are scheduled to make multiple stops in places where they will nearly cross paths with one another. That happened last night. Harris and Trump held dueling rallies at venues just 6 miles apart in Milwaukee. They even took the stage at nearly the same time. But the focus of their closing messages could not have been more different.
On Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala that you've had enough, that you can't take it anymore. Just 5 months ago, everybody was saying she can't run, she's grossly incompetent. She was the worst vice president in history. We're not going to take it anymore, Kamala. You're fired. Get the hell out of here.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe that people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. That's what real leadership is about. That's what strong leadership is about. One who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, he is consumed with grievance, and the man is out for unchecked power.
Violent rhetoric. During an interview with Tucker Carlson yesterday, the former president launched insult after insult at Joe Biden and VP Kamala Harris, but he saved the worst and most aggressive language of all for former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Watch this.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
In a statement, Liz Cheney warned those remarks are, quote, how dictators destroy free nations. And Kamala Harris echoing that warning earlier today. Watch this.
This must be disqualifying. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president. Representative Cheney is a true patriot who has shown extraordinary courage in putting country above party. Trump is increasingly, however, someone who considers his political opponents the enemy, is permanently out for revenge, and is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
And here's what the vice president said just a few moments ago at a rally out in Wisconsin.
This is someone who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, he is consumed with grievance, and the man is out for unchecked power. We have an opportunity to finally turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We are done with it. We are exhausted with it. We are turning the page.
Your argument is that vote for the person you want. Let them do that. Senator, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go to the vice president right now, who's speaking in Milwaukee, but we appreciate Bernie Sanders joining us.
And I'm honored to have the support of people here. I'm going to continue to remind people, go to iwillvote.com to know where you vote and how you can vote in terms of in-person and all of those other details that are very important to exercising the power of your vote in this very critical and important election. I also want to speak to the comments that have been recently made by the Speaker of the House. It is just further evidence of everything that I've actually been talking about for months now about Trump's intention to implement Project 2025. We have talked repeatedly, and the American people know what's in it. We've talked repeatedly about their intention to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, now to get rid of the CHIPS Act. And let's talk about manufacturing, which is a critical issue for many of the states that will make the difference in this election. Donald Trump, when he was president, lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. We have created over 700 new manufacturing jobs. It is my plan and intention to continue to invest in American manufacturing, the work being done by American workers, upholding and lifting up good union jobs, which are good-paying jobs, and doing the work of investing in American industries, including our industries of the future. That is the way we are going to win the competition with China for the 21st century, and that is the kind of leadership that America deserves in their president.
Madam President, tomorrow, Madam President. Oh, sorry.
What's your message to Milwaukee voters who are saying, you know, Trump might be better for the economy? We're hearing that from including black men, voters who are skeptical that things are just too expensive for them.
Well, first of all, let me make it very clear that I intend to earn the vote of everyone, and I don't take anyone's vote for granted. And my highest priority as president will be to bring down the cost, because to that point, look, I know the cost of groceries is too high still. Everyone knows it. And so my plan includes what we're going to do in terms of taking on corporate price gouging and having the first ever national ban on corporate price gouging on groceries. My plan includes addressing the issue of affordable housing, including for first-time home buyers, giving them a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door. My plan includes addressing the needs of parents, in particular young parents, which is why I will expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for the first year of their child's life, which helps pay for everything from child care to a crib and a car seat. My plan includes what we're going to do to invest in our small businesses, including increasing tax breaks for small businesses. And overall, my plan, which is about building an opportunity economy, has been reviewed by leading economists in our country, from Goldman Sachs to 32 Nobel laureates, all whom have said that my economic plan actually will strengthen America's economy. They've reviewed Donald Trump's plan and have determined he will weaken America's economy, he will ignite inflation, and he will bring on a recession by the middle of next year.
Kayla. Hi, Madam Vice President. On the comments from the Speaker, he walked back initially saying that they would repeal the CHIPS Act, but he still wants to impose changes to the bill. Are you concerned about Republicans seeking any changes to the CHIPS Act?
Well, let's be clear why he walked it back, because it's not popular. And their agenda is not popular. And that's why people are showing up by the thousands, tens of thousands, to talk about an agenda that actually is focused on lifting them up. That's why I have the support of, yes, Democrats and independents and Republicans, because they want a president of the United States who stops playing politics with their lives. They want a president of the United States who invests in affordable health care, regardless of who they vote for. They want a president of the United States who invests in American manufacturing and American workers. And that's the work I will do. And that is the work I'm committed to do. And I'm very proud to have the support of many leaders from every party who understand that that's the kind of leadership that we need moving forward.
Thank you. Madam Vice President, I wanted to ask you about your day one agenda. I know you said the other day you talked about having an executive order that would eliminate college degrees for certain federal jobs.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some other day one priorities?
Absolutely. Well, obviously there's more than one,
yes.
And one of them is going to be to submit basically a package of proposals that are about bringing down costs. So, for example, housing. What we need to do in terms of creating a tax benefit for folks who want home ownership, what we're going to do to create a $25,000 down payment assistance plan, what we're going to do for small businesses. All of that will require a lot of work, and day one is also me getting on the phone with members of the Republican Party, with leaders, with the private sector. A lot of my plan includes working with the private sector. My plan includes cutting through red tape on the issue of housing again. That includes working with local and state leaders to cut through the red tape, as well as creating incentives for the private sector, builders and developers, to actually build new housing so we can increase supply and bring down the cost.
Charles.
Madam President, thank you for making this.
3 days.
Vice President,
I appreciate that.
That will go viral, sure. Tomorrow, faith leaders in Milwaukee and across the state will be praying about this election and encouraging people to get out and vote.
Yeah.
I think last week I heard you say God's power works through us.
Yes.
What does your faith tell you about who God wants to win this election and lead our divided country?
My faith and my belief in God tells me that we all must think about our lives through our ability to do good works, and through those works to lift people up, to help the needy, to help the poor, to help the elderly. And my plan for my presidency is informed with that spirit and that approach. And I do believe that people understand that that really is the sign of a real leader, which is not defining one's strength based on who you beat down, but defining the strength of a leader based on who you lift up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
We started the show with, released a video encouraging Americans to vote for Harris, even if they disagree with her on Gaza.
I understand that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. I am one of them. And some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war? And that is a very fair question. And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. I promise you. After Kamala wins, we will together do everything that we can to change U.S. policy toward Netanyahu. And let me be clear. We will have, in my view, a much better chance of changing U.S. policy with Kamala than with Trump, who is extremely close to Netanyahu and sees him as a like-minded, right-wing extremist ally.
Joining me now to discuss the history of these protest movements and how they work in presidential elections is Michael Beschloss, NBC News presidential historian. Michael, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. You know, I grew up in Canada where you have extra parties. It's a system where other parties exist. And sometimes that third party vote or that protest vote works so well that that third party gets elected and forms the government and things happen. Unfortunately, in America, I would actually like more than two parties, but we don't have a system that supports it at the moment. When Ross Perot got 19% of the popular vote, he didn't win a single electoral college vote. So it's not a vote that works strategically.
As far as the protest movement, and especially in Wisconsin and Michigan and other places, this is what I would say. History gives you an extremely loud warning. Two moments in history. One was 2016. As you were mentioning, Ali, Jill Stein ran as the Green Party third-party candidate for president in 2016. She ran strongly enough in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, took enough votes away from Hillary Clinton that Donald Trump was elected. Do the people who supported Jill Stein because they agreed with her on the environment think that Donald Trump did better for the environment than Hillary Clinton would have done? That's a big price to pay for your protest. Also 2000, in Florida, Al Gore was running for president against George W. Bush. Ralph Nader was running from the left, saying that Al Gore is too centrist. Vote for me as a protest. Nader got 97,000 votes in Florida, tipped the state to Bush, tipped the presidency to Bush for the next 8 years. Don't tell me that George Bush and his wars and the Great Recession of 2008 were worth casting that protest vote. All I'm saying is anyone who's thinking about this, consider what you're doing very carefully.
Right, and it doesn't undermine why someone might not be comfortable with a vote for Kamala Harris. That's not the discussion we're having. We're just talking about strategy.
Certainly. In America, the critic is your friend. We are looking at protest movements throughout American history that have brought us some of the best laws and policies we have ever had. That's what our system depends on. But for someone out of the most well-intentioned reasons in one of those crucial states this week to cast a vote for someone else or uncommitted or sit on your hands, that would almost have to suggest
I'm a vote for Kamala Harris. That's not the discussion we're having. We're just talking about strategy.
Certainly. In America, the critic is your friend. We are looking at protest movements throughout American history that have brought us some of the best laws and policies we have ever had. That's what our system depends on. But for someone out of the most well-intentioned reasons in one of those crucial states this week to cast a vote for someone else or uncommitted or sit on your hands, that would almost have to suggest, Ali, that if you're someone who's particularly worried about the Middle East, worried about Gaza, worried about the treatment of the Palestinians, you would have to say to yourself, I'm completely indifferent on this issue to whether it's Trump or whether it's Kamala Harris.
So this is an important point.
You tell me that there would be no difference.
This is an important point because I had a conversation, I had a lovely ride with a cab driver the other day, and we were discussing this the whole time.
Right.
And in the end, when I said, do you think for the cause that you're concerned about, he was Muslim, for the cause that you're concerned about, would Donald Trump be better? And he said, no, absolutely not. And I said, so then why are you not voting for Kamala Harris? And he said, out of spite. Now, I empathize with the sentiment. But the spite's going to get him someone he acknowledges himself is going to be worse for his interests and causes in that limited fashion.
And he could be living through what he finds that he's experiencing as 4 years of hell under Donald Trump. Just as you were saying, Ali, Donald Trump is very close to Netanyahu, which is not the case of most of the voters that we are talking about. He is notoriously talked about Gaza as, just as you were mentioning, making good beachfront property in the future. If you look at the Trump record on the Palestinians, they were almost ignored.
Yep.
Why does someone feel that casting a vote that winds up electing Donald Trump is going to be in service of the cause that he or she is seeking?
So here's the interesting thing, and Bernie Sanders sort of embodies this, and his point is you can be a gadfly. If you elect the person you think you can most closely influence, or who might be closer to your perspective, you can be a gadfly. You can, Kamau Bell said on this show, vote for the person you think you can bully the most. And that's something to keep in mind, that if neither presidential candidate fully suits your needs, it's a binary election. You share the president with 340 million people. You're going to have to vote for the one closest to what you think you can achieve.
Well, or even another dimension of this, I totally agree with what you've just said, but there's one major candidate in this race, Donald Trump, who's promised to be a dictator and has talked about fascism and not exactly consoling minority interests in this country. And Kamala Harris, who has some views, but she said, I'm going to give everyone a seat at the table. Let's have a democracy. Let's fight it out. For those who want to change in Middle East policy, and again, I respect the principle and the passion with which they say that, there's a much greater chance if you have a Kamala Harris who is preserving a democratic debate than Donald Trump, who's saying, I'm going to be a dictator. I don't care what you voters in Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania think.
Michael, good to see you as always. Thank you for your analysis. Michael Beschloss is an NBC News presidential historian. I'm going to continue.
Donald Trump is trying to sell us something we don't want to buy.
Trump steaks are the best tasting, most flavorful beef you've ever had.
No, not that.
That's the real deal.
I forgot about that. Oh, that too. Wow, he's really tried to sell us a whole bunch of crap. Yep, that's the one. Another cheap Trump product. It looks bad. It doesn't work well. And it doesn't make any sense. Don't buy it.
Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
He talks about her race.
Is she Indian or is she black?
She talks about our future.
My entire career, I've only had one client, the people.
He drives Americans apart.
Everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building.
She brings Americans home.
American citizens who have been detained in Russia.
He took away women's basic rights.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
She'll make those rights the law of the land.
The freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body.
The choice is clear.
I don't care about you, I just want your vote, I don't care.
Harris for America.
I say, bring it on.
He rambles on and on.
When you have, what you do is you get off a subject to mention another little tidbit.
making stuff up.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
And sometimes making no sense at all.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
He used to be a wrecking ball.
On 4 occasions, I've taken advantage of the laws of this country.
Now, he's just a wreck.
I am trying to buy your vote. I'll be honest about that. That's true.
This November, vote for a new generation.
A chance to chart a new way forward.
Women, because I am your protector. I want to be your protector. You're not going to be in danger any longer.
I did try and fuck her. She was married. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Donald Trump shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and bang my head and kissed me. It was so shocking.
Trump leads me to this room, pushes me against the wall, and starts kissing me forcefully.
He pulled me into him. The hands started moving, and they were on the side of my breasts, on my hips, back down to my butt.
Trump suddenly started groping me. He was trying to kiss me, and I'm trying to push him away.
He was sort of touching me all over my body. I pushed him away. He just shoved his tongue in my mouth, started kissing me.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
It was not pleasant. It was not welcomed. It was not consensual.
And he put his shoulder against me to hold me against the wall.
Tried to push him. He kept coming back at me.
He was basically overpowering me.
I used my teeth to push his tongue out of my mouth.
I felt sick inside.
He and Jeffrey just kept talking and looking at each other and smiling.
He started putting his hand up my skirt.
Grab him by the pussy. I can do anything.
And he pulled down the tights. That was when it turned serious.
Donald Trump is an adjudicated sexual assaulter.
Donald Trump is a serial sexual predator. He even says it. He's told everybody, this is what I do. Donald Trump says he's going to protect women. He harms women. He sexually assaults women. He has no respect for women.
We cannot elect this man as president.
Anti-Psychopath PAC Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Dear daughters, we want so much for you. We want you to grow up proud and strong in an America that believes in you, believes in your worth, believes in your potential to be whomever you want to be. Free of name-calling.
We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. Kamala. No, it's Kamala.
Free of body shaming.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
Free of bullying.
That's okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry? Where ambition is applauded, not vilified, because ambition is not a dirty word. Where confidence is celebrated, not torn down. Where there is no height you cannot reach. We want you to be proud to be nasty. Nasty isn't a 4-letter word. It's who you are. Strong, determined, brave. This is the America we want for you. For you, dear daughters.
You know your brother voted for Trump. Twice, I think. You know that, right?
Yeah, I knew that. But really, what does it even matter now? Trump didn't break anything that we couldn't still fix, so... It's the hate, though. Dad, honest to God, it's the hate that's gonna kill us. People who don't even know each other hate each other, despise each other. And I don't think that a man who drives that kind of anger, I don't think that he deserves to be president.
I agree. And that's what we gotta fix. I mean, that's what we gotta, get past.
On Tuesday, November 5th, vote for Harris Walls. It's too important to stay at home.
We are Puerto Ricans, and we are Americans. But Donald Trump doesn't see us that way. We remember what he did to us after Hurricane Maria. We were dying by the thousands while he threw paper towels at us like we were a joke. Because he thinks we are garbage.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
We are not your punchline. We know who we are. We are proud Americans, proud Puerto Ricans. And we see who you are. You are racist. You are a liar. You are the one that is garbage. And we know where real garbage belongs. In the trash.
This election will be won by mothers. Mothers raising their sons to be men of honor, integrity, to respect strong women, not be intimidated by them. Mothers whose daughters are empowered and emboldened, seeing their own limitless potential in a president who looks like them, confident in their rights and autonomy over their own bodies. This election will be won by stepmothers, joining in the challenges of raising blended families with respect and appreciation for the birth mothers who paved the way and allowed room for more love. By foster mothers, raising children in need with the love, care, dedication, and grace those beautiful souls deserve, because they know the future isn't bright without support and guidance. By mothers working 3 jobs who often go without so that their daughters have a dress to wear to the school dance or their son can have his team uniform. This election will be won by women because we are the caregivers, the support systems, the uniform sewers, the homework helpers, the sports league drivers, the hug givers, the birthday cake makers. We are the glue that binds a family together. And we know this election matters, maybe more than any election in our country's past. Because when you need to get something done, you ask a mother. This election will be won for our kids.
You know, the White House is more than just a building. It's more than 18 acres of land in Washington, D.C.
It's more than columns and corridors, more than history etched into stone.
And the portraits of those who came before.
It's an idea. It's a symbol.
It's a sacred trust. It's the place where Americans look for leadership when the night is at its darkest and when the dawn breaks brightest.
Earning the right to serve here isn't just about politics.
It's about a bond of honor between the American people
and their president. It's a commitment to the Republic and to our sacred Constitution. It's a promise to temper strength with compassion.
To uphold not only the law, but the ideals that give it life.
It's the understanding that every decision made within these walls
reverberates across the nation, impacting millions of lives.
The right kind of president reminds us that honor and dignity aren't relics of the past,
but the foundation of our future.
They know that while their time here is fleeting, their service can build a stronger America for generations to come. The woman who will soon sit behind this desk will be the first in many ways.
She will lead America
to a new era, a proud era.
A future where we will build
as one nation.
A time of opportunity and prosperity for every American, every family.
Her name is Kamala Harris.
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 And she will be our next president.